Good evening, ladies and Degents. Welcome back to the Distinguished Degents podcast, the 2023 Divisional Round. We made it all the way here. We got through the Super Wildcard weekend. I am Steve Big Bucks Beta, coming in off a 20-unit fucking week. I'm with not mediocre Mansmann, not minuscule Mansmann. It's Jason Money Mansmann. Sir, how are you?
What's good? Good to be back, man. What a week it was. Finally in the green, up like 10 units on my end as well. So profitable week for the Buffalo.
God. A lot of the super boost cash. That's kind of actually how I jumped in on it. And I think by the end of the week, I will post a little bit up about how to play the super boost and when it's smart and when it's not. But gotta say, what a profitable week. What a great way to get back into the green. May have a Schlager Sunday after all by the end of this season. Mansmann, in brief, what was your biggest take from Wild Card weekend? What was your best part? What was your worst take? What didn't go so well? And what do you expect taking it into the divisional round?
Yeah, sure. So the Chargers first half, I think, was sort of our best combined. I mean, we were both in on that, and that was probably the best play. God. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of small, sort of like unit-sized bets that hit. So volume was my friend last week. And yeah, the one down was the Cincinnati Bengals game and that fumble with about 2 minutes left that ended up resulting in Baltimore winning.
Man, that was my fade of the week. It still hit, oddly enough, but God, I did not. That was the game I handicapped right. Did not bet it right because I got it at 6.5. I should have just waited to 9.5, and didn't profit as much on that game.
Yeah.
My worst take: the Vikings. I don't even really want to say too much into it because, well, again, and I will stand by this till the day I die. If your handicap hedges on the fact that you hate a team, whether they're successful or not, it just doesn't ever sound like a good handicap. I will say, though, the New York Giants, they look awfully good. And that was probably Daniel Jones' best game he's ever had. Goes to show you how far coaching will take an organization. I mean, Dayball, Doug Peterson, it makes the difference here, especially here in these playoff games.
No, 100%. You're right. Dayball, and I was on the Giants. That was one of my hits of the week. So, yay, G-Men.
There you go. And then I guess to end it, Tom Brady, dog of the week, just fucking fell to shit. Tom Brady needs to go.
He played like a dog.
God, what a terrible old man. He needs to go. He should have went off into the sunset last year when he could. Hey, I swear to you, and I'll stand by this stance too, Tom Brady has not been the same since he lost to the Rams. Ever since he had that game, because every Tom Brady game before that game, he gets the win. That was the first time ever Brady does the comeback thing. Brady gets the fourth quarter lead, and then the Rams just come back and beat him. And ever since then, he has not been the same. And now that he is potentially a free agent, I mean, what do you think he's going to do?
Well, I don't think he's going to be in Tampa, but I don't think he's going to end his career that way either. I mean, you're going to give up your marriage for one extra year. It doesn't really make much sense to me. And look, I mean, I think we took, we said it before the week started, kind of, wildcard weekends really contenders and pretenders. And I think we got rid of a lot of sort of pretender teams when you think about Tampa, who wasn't good all year, the Chargers blowing a big lead again, Seattle, nice stories, Miami. Nice stories, fun teams, but not really contenders for a championship. And now, a lot of good teams left. So tough week ahead.
Well, Jason's video appears to have been frozen here. He's looking off into the sunset, but we're going to keep going. With that said, buddy, I can still hear you, but are you ready to jump into these divisional games? All right, well, then we'll just keep going, and hopefully it just autocorrects itself.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully. This ought to be interesting. But otherwise, buddy, are you ready to go with these divisional games?
Let's do it to it, man. Let's do it to it.
Yes, sir. All right. Here we go. Kicking off Saturday, 4:30 on NBC of all channels. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off the comeback win, going to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes into Arrowhead. Super windy game expected. Jags taking 8.5 points. They're plus 385 money line. Chiefs are minus 500 home favorites. Over-under is 52.5. Odds are, of course, presented through FanDuel. Kansas City Chiefs are getting 56% of the bets on the spread, but they are getting 69% of the money. Jason, Chiefs have been the number one seed literally twice every year since they got Patrick Mahomes. This is now number 3. What is your handicap for this game?
Sure. So I don't want to necessarily come out with a line right away. I'm going to kind of take you through my process. And we talked about it before. My handicaps at this point really aren't based on a lot of numbers, just because at this stage in the season, it's sort of one-game seasons. It's hard to really predict a lot of trends. Although I will say, we talked about it before, Patrick Mahomes still has not played a road playoff game. In fact, I think if they play a neutral site game against the Bills next week, if the Chiefs and Bills both win, that'll be the first actual playoff game, excluding the Super Bowl, where he hasn't been at home. So when I was looking at this game, I looked back at the game that happened because Jacksonville played in Kansas City earlier in the year, and it was a 10-point win for the Chiefs. Now, my concern with that game was, while it was a 10-point game win for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes had 3 turnovers, and Jacksonville got an onside kick recovered. So, that's issue 1. Number 2, though, I looked at how Jacksonville has played on the road recently, and if you look at their past couple of road games, unlike their home games where they've gotten off to slow starts, they've actually done fairly well in the first half of these road games, which I think is going to be crucial for them to keep this game close. I don't think they're going to be able to do like they did last week, get down 27-0 to this Chiefs team. I don't think that's going to be successful. So, having said my handicap, and I'm not talking, we'll talk about more of sort of the offshoot bets later, but in terms of the handicap and what my line would be, I would actually be looking at Jaguars plus points here because...
All right, we're back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We are continuing where we picked up. You had just finished off. You said you were going to take the Jags with the points, basically at the end of your handicap.
Yeah, I would lean Jags with the points. And we also know the Chiefs struggle to cover as well. I expect this to be a closer game than people think. So I'd lean that way.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's not the worst. I mean, I am the numbers guy. I kind of go to that, and we'll just kind of go into what I got here. But like I mentioned at the beginning, Chiefs, number 1 seed literally every other year since they got Mahomes, 2018, 2020, now in 2022. 3-2 straight up, but only 2-3 ATS. And those 2 straight up losses were, ironically enough, to Tom Brady, who we brought up in earlier in the episode. Chiefs have never lost a divisional playoff game under Mahomes, and they've gone 3-1 ATS. With that said, though, the Chiefs somehow find ways to win games. They historically struggle in this spot. The Colts back in 2018 was really their only blowout win as for a divisional game. But if you go back to 2019, when they played the Texans and Deshaun Watson, they had to do a 24-point come-from-behind victory where they scored 28 unanswered in the second quarter. Cleveland 2020, it literally came down to Chad Henne doing a dive on the fourth down just to secure the win. And then you have 2021, unfortunately, with the Bills, they had 13 seconds. Normally, I would make the argument that because Mahomes has struggled against the AFC South historically, because he struggled in the divisional game, oddly enough, it's one of those things where, like, I wish I could make the argument that I would take the Chiefs with the points, because Mahomes has owned the Jags 3-0 straight up in ATS. And like you mentioned earlier in the year, he played at a 9.5-point spread. They won by 10 with a lot of interceptions, with an onside kick. Is that going to be the same Patrick Mahomes we get this time around at home in the playoffs? Is he going to throw 3 interceptions again? I just don't see it. The 8.5, I mean, God, the points are really concerning, and because it's so high, I would actually go with you and lean on the Jags. Jags have won 7 of their last 8. They lost 1, and they're back on the road. But looking at those road games, like you said, they did play all right, but I wasn't impressed. I mean, they lost to Detroit. They beat the Titans, who are admittedly in just mid-free-fall mode. They beat the Jets on Thursday Night Football, and by the Jets, I mean they beat Zach Wilson and the third stringer, nobody remembers his name. And then they beat the Texans. And let's be real, the Jags, Trevor Lawrence, literally looks like the male version of a darling Cinderella. I think midnight's coming close. Then you remember Trevor Lawrence is undefeated on Saturdays, and he literally had that comeback win last week against the Chargers, and it's just like, God, it's one of those things where it's like, when I think about it, I want to lean the Chiefs because I just don't see the same mistakes happening twice. I think we get a better Patrick Mahomes. But again, historically, Mahomes tends to struggle in divisional games at home. It tends to not be what you expect. So I, too, ultimately, Chiefs win, Jags cover. It probably could be a lot closer than
I'm with you. Because doesn't this look like it could be an 8-point game? 28-20.
Well, is this going to be a 28-14? Is this going to be a 28-14 game with 2 minutes in the fourth, and then the Jags get a 2-minute touchdown? They go for 2 and miss. Is it 28-20? Or they get the 2, and it's 28-22. I mean, that's kind of how I see this game.
Well, is this going to be like the Bills game last week where the Chiefs are up 17-3 going in to put the game away, and Mahomes throws a garbage interception? I mean, how many times have we seen him do that too? He and Josh have done the same thing. How many times have they been going away to end the game, and the guy throws a stupid interception, and Jacksonville gets new life?
Yeah, that could always be a possibility too. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is still undefeated on Saturdays. I know you kind of hate days of the week handicaps, but that's just one, like, it's hard to ignore. I'll say this though, and this kind of leans towards my argument. Mahomes on Saturdays, 3-1 ATS, 4-0 straight up. Kind of the same line as divisional games. 5 of the last 6 Saturday games for Kansas City have gone under. So with that at 52, like 28-22 at 50 points seems about right. And at 50, it was 51.5. It's gone up. So right now I would lean under 52.5. This is a game where, like, the Chiefs are either going to blow them out or this is going to be stupidly close for no reason. I don't think it's a Jaguars-Chargers game where they have to come from behind 30 points. I think this is just Mahomes gets the lead and then he goes. And any comment towards the points? I know you're not a points guy, but
I expect it to be a higher scoring game than the first one because I think there's going to be a lot of throwing. And I guess with that's a good segue in terms of props I'm looking into. Overpass attempts for both quarterbacks, but especially Trevor Lawrence. That goes to 1 under Travis Etienne rushing yards. Remember, Kansas City has a great rush defense, and he only got 45 yards in the first game. So I would be looking
here. Hopefully.
Back.
Hey, there he is.
There you go. You can barely see me now. Foggy camera's back. So we'll see.
Oh. Well, we will adapt. We will overcome. It is going to record you hopefully at a higher resolution. So,
okay,
we'll pray and hope. But anyways, let's just keep going. Yeah.
Well, I won't give it away because I don't want a defamation suit or anything. But I will say, an app that shall not be named. Not impressed.
Yes, so far this is not good. Might be the last time we use this. But here we go. My prop here for this game, because you do expect a lot of passing, you could probably get this still at plus money. Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns, plus 116. I just think if this is going to be a game of passing, Kelsey's going to be a big target. Look for him for 2 touchdown props. Look at Juju Smith-Schuster. Look at Kadarius Toney for an anytime touch. I mean, I just think for the Chiefs, they're going to not really rely on the run as much either, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a great sort of – I like that prop quite a bit, actually. Especially, too, I think I played one Jerick McKinnon anytime touchdown. How many times does he just flip the ball to him 2 yards away for a score? I love
every week
Jerick
since
McKinnon.
week 18. Or sorry, since week 13, he's had a passing touchdown, reception touchdown. Yeah, I'm going to jump into the next game before this crap happens again. But anyways, Saturday night, 8:16. I want to say it's on Fox. Who cares? It's the New York Giants and Danny Dimes going to Philadelphia, the number 1 NFC team for the year. They clinched it last week, or 2 weeks ago now. Let's see here. Giants are now 7.5 point road dogs again. Was 8.5. Plus 290. Minus 360 for the Eagles at home. Over under is 48.5. Giants are getting 66% of the bets and 60% of the money, both on the spread. Jason, why? Why is the public on the Giants?
Yeah, they're a winning team now, aren't they?
I really wanted to take the Giants. I really wanted to take the Giants at 7.5. And then they became the public team. Just, God, that pisses me off. Like, and it's weird because it's 7.5. And that kind of tells you a lot. Like, you think 5.5 neutral site, but now you got Jalen Hurts back.
Philly.
And they're in Philly. Here we go. This is my take. Giants are 3-1 ATS in playoff games versus the Eagles. Daniel Jones is 2-3 straight up against them all time. Hurts is 3-1 though as a starter. He's won 3 in a row against the Giants. Giants are shockingly really fucking good on the road though, and especially in the playoffs. 14-4 ATS all time in playoff road games.
Yeah.
And if you eliminate the 2017 Green Bay loss, they were undefeated ATS going all the way back to 2003.
I know. I heard about those stats too. Yeah.
Now, Giants against divisional opponents in the playoffs, 2-1 straight up, 3-0 ATS. You fast forward to this year, just, forget the cast, forget the play. Let's go to now. This year, the Giants are 8-1 ATS on the road. They've covered 5 straight. Road games as an underdog. All of those road games were as underdogs, though. Eagles are 6-3 ATS at home. All those games were as favorites. Eagles are not as good at home, though. 6 playoff games at home since their 2004 Super Bowl appearance. 2-4 ATS, 3-3 straight up. Now, against divisional opponents all time, 2-7 ATS, 3-6 straight up. 2-2 straight up, 1-3 ATS at home. If you're asking me, and why haven't I just taken the Giants? Because all the numbers kind of just seem to point to take it. Their last playoff win against the Eagles was 2001. And again, maybe this is just the system play this week, but I don't see this Eagles team coming off the bye, having beaten this team twice, and just letting them come into Philly and walk all over them. But the points right now are just too high. This is another, I think the Giants cover. I think this is going to be a real close game, but the Eagles are going to win. And I think an argument could be made that the Eagles will cover. I think this is a matter of, is this going to be the Eagles of late, or is this going to be the Eagles that we know why they got the number one seed? Because if that's the team that we get, I don't, and not to mention, is that last game that Daniel Jones had the best we're going to see of him? Because if that was his best game, what's he going to do coming into Philly? He's going to have to outplay that performance, and I just don't know if he can do it against arguably the number 2, number 3, 4 defense in the NFL. The Vikings defense, let's be honest, as you would say, they're pigeon shit. They're sloppy. They're like wet tissue paper, full of diarrhea. It's runny, and they literally let everything get everywhere. But the Eagles defense is a whole nother level. So, again, I could hear the argument for the Eagles, but like, this is a system play. Take the Giants with the points. I'm not taking them to win, though, by any means. They're not even close to an underdog play, as far as I'm concerned.
Public disagrees with you, though, bud.
Well, you know what the Sharps do. They fade the public, so.
True. So, yeah, this is a lean Eagles for kind of the reasons you discussed. I mean, what is this line going to be? Let's just say the Giants didn't play Minnesota. Last week didn't happen.
Okay.
What is this line going to be? Eagles minus 10?
Probably 10.5. I mean, we saw this week 18, and when God, it was so because it's the week 18 issue. Yeah, so it was 13.5.
Backups. They played the Giants backups,
which I think you could argue is 3 points. That's a field goal. So I'm thinking 10.5 points. If this was last week, but everyone starting, including Jalen Hurts, I would argue 9.5, 10.5. But now it's down to 7.5 because
where the money is in terms of not the number of bets, but the money. Let me see that.
I want to say it's also towards
60% on New York, 60%. Because my thought was, are there sharp players? The only way this line is explained, and I've heard it as a possibility, Jalen Hurts isn't 100%.
He's off the injury, but he's off the injury report. Which, I mean, I know it means doodle in the grand scheme of things, but he's had an extra week. He played decent.
This game. It's the only thing that explains this game.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just historical bias for the Giants in the playoffs. I mean, and again, this is the Barney narrative, but the Barney narrative is that the Giants in the playoffs are just crazy dogs. And they just go on runs in the playoffs. They're like, this is reminiscent of 2008, 2011. I personally don't see it. I just see the Giants getting the Minnesota Vikings on the Giants' best day. Because arguably that's what that was. I think if the Giants were even like a half step behind, the Vikings could have won that. Unpopular take, but Kirk Cousins did not shit the bed. He did not throw picks left and right. Maybe piss poor playmaking decisions in the 2-minute drill, but an argument could be made if they had gotten that touchdown, they could have won. And the Giants gave it their best. My thinking is that this is the Giants at their best. You're now giving them 7.5, and that just is insane. And again, it's a system play. I'm not saying it's a great one, but the system play is you take the favorite to win, but dog the cover. But
so I'm just
no, you're good. I could lean Eagles. especially because the number is going down. If this is a weird middling situation where if I had already bet the Giants plus 8.5, I probably would have middled and gone Eagles 6.5 if it ever goes down. But
yeah,
I mean, one of two things is going to happen. Either the Giants are going to keep this close, which if they do, they might win it. Or realistically, the Eagles have been the number one NFL team most of the year till Jalen Hurts got injured. Now, just all of a sudden, is going to be dog shit in his first game.
My bet here is, strangely enough, and this is going to be tough because the recent numbers don't support it, Saquon Barkley over rushing attempts. Because I think if you remember, the Eagles' DVOA against the run is not good. And
against the run?
Yeah, they have a bad DVOA against the run. I forgot what it was. It was like
I know they're third
most of the
in
year.
DVOA. I know they're third overall, but that is a lot of passing attempts.
I mean, when you looked at like this Eagles team when they've struggled, it's been against the run game. And I could see the Giants trying to lean heavy on the run to keep the Eagles offense off the field. So to me, I would be looking at a Saquon over rushing attempts. If it were me, that'd be what I'd look at. Because otherwise, this is a tough game to bet. I mean, Daniel Jones, is he going to have a good game or is he going to be shit? Is Jalen Hurts injured or is he not?
Yeah. Oddly enough, my play for this is like a Daniel Jones meltdown because I think he's had his best game. He's just due for some mistakes, and this is just this is a class step up in defense.
Prime time Dimes. How's primetime Danny Dimes been?
Sucks.
Yeah. 8:00 Saturday on the road.
You know what? Fuck the system play. Eagles minus 7.5. I'm playing it.
There you
Fuck the system play. No, because you're absolutely right. This is primetime Danny Dimes in the playoffs coming off his best game. This is the time you fade him. Like, I had to be talked into it, unfortunately, but you're absolutely right. This is...
I just, like, the public betting just seems so off. I don't know. I'm going to have to go. I'm really going to have to listen to my professional podcast on this because I'm curious what their argument about this game's going to be. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet.
See, I would listen to mine, but they're an Eagles and Giants fan, respectively. So they just, of course, went heads up and came up with every argument under the sun. But to me, it's like, no, this is the Giants' letdown spot. I think they're done. I wasn't a fan of them last week. Why should I be a fan of them this week? No, wrong.
I think it's such a big overreaction to the last 2 weeks that this line's 7.5. I mean, if you get rid of the Giants' backups losing by 10 and then beating Minnesota last week, if those games never happened and it was just the Giants made the playoffs, they beat the Colts, their first playoff game is against the Eagles, I mean, they're going to be, like you said, they're going to be 10.5-point dogs in Philly. They're 3 points better in the last 2 weeks. I just don't.
That does not make sense. That
like the story more so than the actual team.
Well, I think they like the Giants as a playoff team. They don't like them as a regular season team. Like polar opposite of the Ravens. They like the Ravens as a regular season team, but the minute they make the playoffs, they're off the bandwagon. Rightfully so in most senses, but no, I'll end it with this. Number 1 seed since 2018, 7-8 straight up. Ravens and Titans both went one and done. Packers went one and done last year, and yeah, there's fucking 4 others, but you know,
yeah,
it's going to be an interesting play to take the Eagles, but I'm all over it. Go Birds, let's go. All right, Sunday afternoon. 3 p.m., CBS, Cincinnati, traveling to Buffalo. Both quarterbacks arguably coming off their worst playoff performances. Bills laying 5.5 at home, minus 240. plus 198 for the Bengals. Over-under is now at 49.5. The Bengals are getting 72% of the bets on the spread. They're getting 69% of the money.
Which is so weird. The line has just gone up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah. That's the... So I wonder if the sharp money is actually on the Bills.
I wonder if a few big sharps bet Buffalo early in the week and just tanked it up.
That or there's a bunch of whales out there in the ocean. Like Mattress Mac running around just dropping millies for no reason. By the way, Mattress Mac, I love how he gets the biggest casino win at a sports book of all time with the Astros. And proceeds to lose $3 million of it on TCU. Like, fading Georgia again. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man, you can't. I didn't play the college football.
Oh, and don't worry, he's hedging. He hedged, and by hedged, I mean he's doing another bet, and he's betting more millions of dollars on the Cowboys this week.
Oh, we're gonna get to that game. That's my favorite. That's my favorite line of the week, actually.
Okay, I'll get to this point. I know it's your team all year. I've let you take the lead. I'm taking this one though.
You go for it. I don't even want to talk.
I'm gonna cut the bullshit. I'm gonna just jump straight to it. Here's the key to the game. Can the Bills do what they did in the first half to the Dolphins, minus the screw-ups and the mistakes?
Oh, look, Josh Allen just threw another interception.
On top of that, can they then contain the Bengals in the second half? The Bengals have been the second best second half team on the road behind the New York Giants, and they were fourth.
Fumbled while you were talking.
God damn it, Jason.
No, go on.
Are you sure? Is Josh Allen going to throw another pick while I talk? I mean...
Yeah, he is. He is going to do that. In the red zone, too.
God damn it. All right, here we go. All right, look, Bengals, their second best second half spread on the road. They're behind the Giants, but they're fourth best overall in the second half. The Bills all year, really all season, including the Dolphins game last week, it's also going to come down to a third point. Is can the Bills defense step up when it matters most, when the game is on the line? Last week, they did step up. And by they, I mean Kyer Elam. Both quarterbacks, like I said, they were at their worst, especially Josh. Oh, look, he threw another interception. Joe Burrow was not that great either, and I feel like that is being extremely overlooked. He only had 209 passing yards, one touchdown against a Ravens defense who literally had just half of them come off injured reserve.
Yeah.
You look at the Bengals team last week, they were not the better team. They should have lost, in my opinion. You look at the Bills, Josh Allen screwed up a lot, but they were always the better team on the field. There was never a doubt that the Bills were not the more superior, better team, to play the game. Josh Allen literally kept the Dolphins in that game, not the Dolphins.
It was like Bills 31, Miami like 8-9, and Josh Allen for Miami like 17.
Yeah, goddamn, my dog does not ever let up. Anyways, guys, again, the Bills aren't decent stat-wise first half. Lately, they've been screwing up too. They're 2-3 ATS in the first half in their last 5 home games, despite being 6-3 on the season. And again, here's the system play: dogs the cover, favorite to win. But now you have another again, just like we talked about the last game. The public side, they're taking a road dog against the Bills at home.
You know how many?
Does that make sense to you? I mean,
you know how many losses Sean McDermott has at home in the playoffs? None. 0.
No. I mean, could this be his first? Maybe, but I'm not seeing it here. It's ridiculous. Now, if this game was in Cincinnati and this was the line, this would be system play. Buffalo to cover, probably Cincy to win. Because the Bills on the road in the playoffs. Now, admittedly, it's only been Kansas City, but I'd argue the Bengals are right up there with them. The real reason why I'm actually leaning and laying the points with Buffalo, the real reason why, and this is potentially a bad take, we saw Josh at his worst. I think that he always struggles against the Dolphins. The Dolphins always manage to play close for one reason or another. It's not surprising to me the game ended 34-31. What surprised me was how it got to that point. I don't see Josh doing this shit again. Especially with the Bengals team, who, let's be honest, could rack up a score in the first half like they did in New England. Now, both teams undefeated this season straight up in ATS against each other's divisions. This was the one game, week 17, that was supposed to settle the score. Didn't happen because of DeMar Hamlin. But oh, wait. I think this is the game, classy Bill style, DeMar Hamlin in the president's box.
I hope so, man.
Honorary captain for the coin toss. I think he makes his appearance. Bro, did you see the post? One of the jewelers literally gave every Bills player a 24-karat gold 3 for all their chains.
Yo, nice.
The motivation at this point with DeMar Hamlin, I think the Bills, it's crazy. 5.5 for a Bills team that played the way they did last week. You're wondering what the fuck. A Bills team who at home has not really covered well. Now are they getting that X Factor motivation with the edge? Are they just going to come out and just mollywop the Bengals and put them in their place at home? And, God, I'm not even confident in either pick here. Because you take the Bengals and you're basically saying they're going to beat Buffalo at home in the playoffs.
So here's what I'll say. We could play a little game, too. Think of it this way. How many points would you give the Bills for home field?
2.
Okay. Line's 5.5 now. Give the Bills 2 points for home field. That's 3.5.
And it was 4.5. It was 4.5, so they've got an extra point now for.
Yeah. Give the Bengals 2 points if it was in Cincy. Bills minus 1.5.
Wasn't that what the line was last time?
Exactly. So the question is, do you think that these both teams are around the same place as they were before? Then the line sort of, makes sense, I guess. That's why this game's really, first off, I told you last week I was not going to bet the Bills. I can't do it. Can't bet the Bills. Line, I can't go through that shit again. But I think the line is pretty much right, on now, just because, I would give the Bills 3 for home field, to tell you the truth. But even
if you want to add a point for playoffs, I could see it.
But you're still right around where the first game was. And, I don't think there is a lot that's changed. I mean, neither team looked really good last week in the game. And, I'm trying to think of X factors, and I think what made the line move, and there was news that came out today, the Bengals are going to be down 2 tackles this week.
They just lost their left tackle.
Yeah, so that could be a big loss, especially with this Bills pass rush.
Can you say Matt Milano?
This week is Greg Rousseau's time to feast. I want to see Greg Rousseau back. Time to feast, young man.
I don't know if you noticed, but this was the closest I had to Bills colors. So,
there you go, buddy. Thank you, my man.
Let's go Buffalo. That's
Buffalo.
What else are we doing, guys? That's my take. What else are we doing? I hear the Bengals side, but I just think the Bengals side is partially recency bias. The Bengals admittedly have been good all year. I've been fading them left and right, and they've been making me eat my fucking feet. It's not, I don't think this handicap by fading the Bengals again is a disrespect, but I faded them ATS last week against the Ravens. They look pretty fucking good for a guy who said that this argument made no sense.
They should have lost the game last week. He gets that touchdown. It's 24-17, it's the Ravens. Well, no, it would be the Jags coming to Buffalo, but you get the idea. Like, they probably shouldn't have won last week.
I don't think they should have, and I think the Bills should have won by more. That's kind of the thinking. Like, Bills should never have lost.
I will say, I think a big advantage the Bills have had, they've won a lot of close games.
You're right, especially since that Lions game. All their close games they've won. And you said it at the beginning, the Bills need to start winning these close last-second games because they historically never did it. But now they're starting to do it, and
now, don't get me wrong.
They're looking better.
Sword. We saw with Minnesota, you could get got doing that. But I think this Bills team needed to learn how to win close games, and that's gonna serve them well. I think it's gonna be a close game. I could see the Bengals covering, Bills winning by like 3.
Yeah, that could be it. Last note: Bengals second half spread, like I mentioned earlier. They've actually struggled the last 3 games. They had a 98 return yard for a fumble. That's the only reason they won last week. 0-3 in the last 3. So, again, last point. Are we really fading the playoff Bills at home? Are we really doing this?
Hard to do when they've never lost a home game. Like under McDermott, never losing a home game in the playoffs. I mean, that's just a tough, Tom Brady never lost against the Cowboys. You can make money on those bets sometimes, but it's scary to do. Just quick sort of prop plays that I like real quick.
Sure.
Josh Allen over passing yards. The number was very low. I don't know if it's still as low as I saw it before. Let me just do a quick little check and see what we have. Yeah, I mean, he was at 260 before. He's at 272.5. Like, in a playoff game where he's going to be throwing a lot at home, unless there's bad weather I don't know about, I'd lean over there. And even, too, Josh Allen over under 1.5 passing touchdowns. I mean, hello, this is playoff Josh here. Even in a bad game where he had turnovers last week, he had 3. I would and Big game Gabe. Look for him as well this week. I think he's going to have a big game, especially if he goes up against Eli Burnt Toast.
That could be dangerous. I'll go real quick. I'm leaning under 49.5 points only because I think, like we said, the Bengals O-line is injured. This Bills defense might feast, take away Trey, Kyer, Elam. I think this is a situation the Bengals are due for bad offensive performance. My favorite prop, and hear me out on this one, you could get Dawson Knox anytime touchdown plus 200. I'm going to double check the stats just to make sure because I don't want to get the number wrong as far as how many he's had in a row.
5 or 6, I think now. 5 or 6 in a row.
And again, I'm not going to get this. It's 5. I'm going to say this, though. You could get it at plus 200. Or correct me if I'm wrong, 4 of those 5 were in the first half. Usually the first drive. If you're ballsy, you could play first touchdown Dawson Knox. I'm actually going to play him first half touchdown and get it at plus 460.
I like that.
It's a difference between a 2-1 and a 4.5-1. I think that could be worth it. I also really, really like Josh Allen over rushing. I totally lost the number here, but my thinking is this, that the Bengals pass rush is going to be focused on the receivers. I think, unlike the Dolphins, who have been able to do the quarterback spy, Josh Allen could literally run yard all over this Bengals defense. I think they've been exposed before. Josh Allen over 47.5 rushing yards, I think it could be done.
Another thing, too, that's just real quick, and then we'll move on to the next game. I know we've gone on for this one for a while, but Diggs is actually, I think he's another 100-yard receiving game in the playoffs away from breaking a record.
Ooh. Well, do you wonder, does he save it for
someone with like 7 straight playoff games with like 100 receiving yards. So be on the lookout for that too.
Yes, sir. All right, here we go. Let's get to this last game. Sunday, 6:30, NBC. Can't believe I'm saying this. Dallas Cowboys beating Tom Brady and the Bucs. They're going not home. They're going to San Francisco, baby. San Francisco is laying 3.5 now. Minus 205 at home, plus 172 for the Cowboys. Over-under is now 46.5. Niners are getting 62% of the bets, 67% of the money.
It can't go to 3, can it? It can't go to 3.
It might.
No way.
Mattress Mac is betting on the Cowboys. I just want you to know.
If it goes to 3, that might be best bet of the year.
Do you want to take this one? Do you want me to go? I mean, I think we're on the same page, but like,
I'll start this one. You started the last one. So kind of the same thing as the Giants. Who did the Cowboys beat last week? Did they beat a good team last week? Are the Buccaneers, were they any good?
No.
Remember when they were losing to Carolina in the first half of that game? They clinched when Sam Darnold threw 3 touchdown passes. Can we just... Dallas beats this sort of mediocre team.
They won, missing 4 extra points.
I mean, can we, we have seen what the Niners have been this year, right?
With Brock Purdy. Still undefeated. I mean, what the...
Can Dallas stop a run game? Is Dallas's defense that good?
Let's phrase it like this. You're the Dallas defense. Arguably the best pass rush. How do you stop Christian McCaffrey? Okay, let's refocus. We're going to stop Christian McCaffrey. All right, fine. We're gonna run the double reverse. We're going to give it to Debo. How do you stop Debo? Oh, wait. We have to go back to the pass. We have to make Brock Purdy beat us. Oh, wait. There's George Kittle down the middle, and there's 300 pounds chasing after me. I mean, I could go on.
Especially when you look at it, Brock Purdy's been great against pressure. I saw a number. Him against pressure this year. 4 touchdowns, no picks.
Unbelievable.
114 quarterback rating.
Oh, no. Christian McCaffrey, he's got to be limited. Oh, no. Elijah Mitchell, their former RB1, is still there, still very good. I mean, okay, fine. 4th and goal. We got to get the stop. Oh, there's Kyle Juszczyk. I literally could go on with how talented this Niners team is. They have so many ways they could beat you.
I mean, yeah, and can we talk about the Niners defense? Dak Prescott, okay, yay.
San Francisco's defense is actually my big concern. Because I saw what happened in the first half with the Seahawks. They made Geno Smith look like Geno Manning.
They gave up 5 yards and turned the ball over 4 times.
I mean, they did it right. That's what matters. They got the win. But the first half, they looked a little offbeat. They looked off their game. I don't even know how else to say it. They did not look their best.
Well, remember too, it was a division team for the 3rd time this year. I mean,
right.
I'm just not sold on the Cowboys even a little. Not a fan of them. I haven't been a fan of them for weeks. I just don't. I mean, think about it this way. If Dallas is at home, this line is Cowboys minus 1.5.
Maybe it's a pick 'em.
That doesn't
be honest with you. I think it's a pick 'em.
Cowboys pick 'em at home. I think the Niners should be 2.5-point favorite. To me, this line is so incredibly wrong.
I'm a believer in Occam's razor, Jason. Simplest explanation probably is the most likely reason for the results. Dallas is coming off their biggest win in playoff history since the last time they went to the Super Bowl. Would you agree? Would you disagree? I mean,
well, yeah.
They beat Tom Brady and the Bucs. They beat Tom Brady.
They won a road playoff game since '93. So
they haven't won a road game since '93. They never beat Tom Brady. They conquered both. despite Brett Merritt slinging it to the left and missing every fucking extra point. Jason, what do we do with teams who are coming off their Super Bowl?
Oh, you fade the shit out of them.
We fade the shit out of them. This is the classic play. Cowboys off their best. They can only go down.
And I don't mind. People are acting like the Niners sucked. Like, remember they won by 30?
I mean, I remember that second half when, like you said, 5 yards.
I will say, there was a Sharp on the podcast. I listened to a little bit, and he had a great sort of statement to explain this. Think about it this way. The Niners played the first game of the week, and it was completely forgotten because it was the first game, and it was over pretty much by the end of the third quarter. Dallas played the last game and beat Tom Brady, on the road. Also, too, think of it this way. The Niners played on Saturday. They're going to get an extra day of rest. Cowboys played on Monday. They're
on the
going
road.
to have short rest.
On the road. That's the key. Niners were at home the whole time. They get to stay home. Cowboys, less days on the road. They went all the way from Dallas to Tampa, back to Dallas, now has to go to San Francisco. Jason, how many times in the last 3 years have the Cowboys won back-to-back road games? It's not 0, unfortunately. But
I'm trying to think. Did they do it this year?
They did not.
I don't know. How long?
Twice.
2019,
they beat the 2019, they beat the Lions and the Giants. 2021, they beat the Vikings and the Panthers. Any of those teams impressive? No. Any of those teams make you no?
Plus two, I think the Niners are gonna win the NFC. So
this would be. I was gonna talk about that. I wanted to ask you. You took my thunder. I was gonna say. I don't know if the lines have come out, and if they have, I don't know where they're at. But I was gonna say, do you bet both NFC winners as well as AFC? If you think it's going to be between the Chiefs and Bills, do you just bet both of them? Make one of them your best bet, one of them as a hedge. I mean, yeah, you get plus money for each team. I mean,
trying to see if I could see.
Niners are plus 170.
Niners plus 170. Although by the time...
This is the time you do it.
I mean, the question is really whether if you parlayed it together, I mean, let's say you bet the Niners to win this week and then win next week. You just re-roll the winnings and bet them to win next week. Would you make the same amount of money as just betting them plus 170 now? That's the question.
Well, I doubt you get... Well, think of it this way. Are the Niners going to be a road dog in, say, Philadelphia? Because if you do, my thinking is you double down.
I would think they will be a road dog in Philadelphia.
Whereas, let's say Buffalo and Kansas City, prime example, if it's a neutral site, is this a pick'em game? Do you get to double down on the Bills? Or are the Bills going to be a favorite? Are the Chiefs going to be a favorite? I mean, and that's why I'm saying, like, not for the AFC so much, because let's be real, anything could happen there. The NFC, though, I mean, we can at least agree. It's going to be the Niners and Eagles. They're both plus money. I mean, if I bet 5 units, I could get 75. But say I just want to get my money back, all I would have to do is bet 3. I'd get another 5 to win. So 8 units, and I'm either even, or if I'm right, it's a bit of a hedge, but I mean, you could either go up 2 units or you could break even. So like that would be, I mean, you'd have to mess with the numbers and just do some math to figure out how you could profit on both ends, or maybe just profit on the one you think you're confident on. But now's the time to do it, I would think.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll go over the quick recap of our picks. I got over 45.5, though. I do think it'll be a high-scoring affair one way or the other. My favorite play is San Francisco defense to score plus 600. Dak's overdue for a fuck-up. I think it could be pick six city. I think somebody could fumble. Niners defense, I think, is going to step up. Niners plus 600.
Yeah, maybe it's time for that Dak interception, too, that we didn't get last week.
That's for sure. Okay, so Jacksonville, 8.5 points. We're locked in there. Chiefs to win. Eagles minus 7.5 on the lean. Both on the Bills minus 5.5. Both on the Niners minus 3.5. Are we missing anything?
No, I don't think so. Just some of my quick recap of some prop plays. Travis Etienne under rushing yards. McKinnon anytime tutty. I would be looking in the Niners game. I would look for McCaffrey over again because I think they're going to try and run the ball a lot against this Dallas defense. Also, too, take a look at Niners defensive props because I think there could be interceptions, there could be fumbles, there could be sacks, a lot of tackles, that sort of thing. Bills, again, big game, Gabe Davis, looking for him to have a big game. You might want to take a glance at the Stephon Diggs because I think he needs 100 receiving yards this game to break a record, so big there. Also, too, Josh Allen passing. Look towards the over there as well.
I like over rushing yards for Josh personally.
Yeah.
My props.
If you want to be frisky, over rushing yards for the Bengals, because think about it, the Bills tend to go, and when a team's going to pass against them, they sell out to stop the pass. So maybe look at that too.
Plus 430, Dawson Knox anytime first half touchdown. Dawson Knox, I want to say it's 4 or 5 or 5 or 5.
Yeah, you get the Mansmann stamp of approval for that. I like that too.
Yep, sir. Josh Allen rushing over 47.5. I had Daniel Jones interception prop. That's a go-to for me. Niners anytime touchdown. Christian McCaffrey. I'll give you this as my prop for the Niners game, other than the Niners defense touchdown. Look at the George Kittle under. I don't think it hit last week, but like I said, George Kittle is generally undervalued and underused in the playoffs. A lot of teams tend to focus on him. Deebo Samuel last week, too, would maybe be another underplay, which is weird. Maybe it's another correlated. But Deebo Samuel besides that 80-yard bomb he got to get his touchdown prop, which made me some good money, if it wasn't for that bomb, a lot of his stats would have been under. So maybe just be careful there. But, yeah, with that said, hopefully we can get another video out before game day. We'll get out some more props, but if not, we'll throw it on our Twitter at Degents Podcast. Shout out to Arbor Discussions channel with producer John. He's always throwing out new content from Maryland.
Yeah,
Money Mansmann, last comment.
Just I think today or yesterday, another interview out. So
yes, sir. Last comments. Anything else before we get to the divisional round?
Got it to work. Yay! No more technical difficulties. I'll leave you.
Yes, sir. Well, we found out. I think it was your camera. So next time we'll be aware. But
jeez. Yeah.
All right. Good night, Degents. Take it easy.
Take it easy, guys. Peace.
And go win some motherfucking money.